Now, some of us live out in the country or live where guys hundreds of years ago with big fluffy shirts came out and drew all the lines. Now, those guys with the big fluffy pirate shirts and wigs, when they were drawing those lines, their version of a line may have been here yonder. And here yonder doesn't really tell us where the line is. Now, at some point, fences went up. And if it's not clear in your property description that those guys in the fluffy shirts typed up, they didn't type up, they wrote out with a feather, honestly, then that fence is what we have to rely on. And if we've all been respecting that fence as a boundary line, then it becomes the boundary line. In the state of Arkansas, if you and your neighbor put up a fence, you're agreeing where that fence goes up is the new boundary line. And if you're not agreeing that it's the new boundary line, you need to say something, because that's a form of adverse possession, which is called boundary by the acquiescence. Just to let you know that if you put up a fence and your neighbor agrees, hey, that's a good place for a fence, it usually becomes the new boundary line, especially if that fence has been up for more than 7 years. And if it becomes the new boundary line, and then your neighbor sells their property and somebody else comes in, well, they may not agree. But what if the fence has been up for 20 years, 200 years, whatever in the middle? Then you may have yourself a lawsuit. That's why it's so important to get on top of these issues before your neighbor sells to some Okie from Muskogee or somebody from California who wants to come in and, run a jelly bean farm. So it's important that you know where the lines are. It's important that you just don't sit back and say, well, the next generation can deal with that, because you're just leaving the next generation a lawsuit. Much better that you get somebody in, survey the property appropriately, and get everything cleaned up and get everything shored up so that it can pass down appropriately to the next generation.